All right, good morning, good afternoon, or good night, whatever time you're watching this video. Today we are going to be talking about parallel lines cut by a transversal, again like we did yesterday. So the essential statement for today is I can determine angle relationships and solve for the unknown. All right, so yesterday we talked about a transversal, right? So there's two parallel lines cut by a transversal. When that happens, there are all these cool angle relationships that happen, and it creates 8 different types of angles and all these angle relationships. And when you get the angle relationships, you get some information that gets shown to you, and we can solve for the angles once we know that information. So we talked about corresponding angles, alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles. And if you look back from our notes from yesterday, these are what's going to help us solve for today's lesson. So as a little refresher, corresponding angles are angles such as 1 and 5. So they're on the same side of the transversal, on the same side of A and B. Okay, so on the same side of A and B, on the same side of the transversal. That's corresponding angles. Then you have alternate interior angles. So think of that, alternate interior. So they're alternating sides of the transversal, and they're on the interior, so on the inside of lines A and B. And then you have alternate exterior angles. So they're alternating again, alternating the transversal, and they're on the exterior of the two lines. So just remember the words and you'll remember what they are. And the last one, same side interior angle. Think of it, same side. So you're on the same side of the transversal, and then you're on the interior. And remember, the only reason those ones are different is because they add up to 180. So as long as you're kind of going through the words and can decipher what the words mean, then you are good to go. Okay, so for today, we're going to do a few examples and we're going to solve for x on these. All right? So we have two lines cut by a transversal creating these angles. So we have an angle here that's 2x plus 3, and we have another angle that's 11x plus 9. So what kind of angles are they? If you look back at your notes, we realize that they are on the same side, and they're on the same side of the transversal and on the same side of lines A and B. Therefore, they're corresponding angles. So if you want to write that down, if my pen would work, corresponding angles. And when they're corresponding angles, it means that they are congruent, which means they are the same. So we can set these equal to each other. All right, so 2x plus 3 equals 11x plus 9. And we're going to solve for x. But there's x on both sides. So we want to get all the x's on one side of the equation and all the numbers on the other side. So I'm going to draw my line down the equal sign. And I don't really want to work with some negatives. So I'm going to, since this is a positive 11, I'm going to subtract 11x. Subtract 11x. I have x plus 3 on this side equals 9. Now remember, I want to get my variables on one side and my numbers on the other side. So I'm very close. All I need to do now is subtract 3, and then I have x equals 9 minus 3 is 6. All right, now we found that x equals 6, but if we want to know what the angle is, what we can do is plug that in, the x into our equation. So 11 times 6 plus 9. We know 11 times 6 is 66, and 66 plus 9 is 75. So our angle is 75 degrees. And to check me to see if these are congruent, you can do that as well with 12x plus 3. You can pause the video and check it out right now. All right, our second equation, we are going to do 27x minus 1, and then is the first angle, and then 2x plus 5. So if you look at these, they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So when we look back, what's opposite sides? Okay, opposite sides means alternate. Okay, so these are alternate. Are they on the inside or are they on the outside? Right, they're on the inside. So that means they're alternate interior angles. Good job. And when they're alternate interior angles, it means that they're also congruent. So if you want to write down here, alternate interior angles to help you out, it means that they're congruent. So we can do the same thing that we did on the first problem. So let's set that up. So we've got 27x minus 1 equals 2x plus 5. All right. Now we're going to make sure all the variables are on one side and all the numbers on the other side. So we're going to draw a line down the equal sign. And remember, I don't really like working with negatives, so I'm going to make sure all my variables are on the left. So I'm going to subtract 2x, I now have 25x minus 1 equals, remember that cancels, all we're left with is 5. Again, if you're a little confused and you think I'm going a little too fast, then you can pause the video and try doing it on your own first and then see if you're correct. So now I want my variables on my right and my my numbers on my left. I think I might have written this down wrong. Okay, so now we have 25x equals 6. We can divide by 25, divide by 25. X equals this crazy fraction, and I clearly wrote down it wrong, but we know that that kind of just helps us out. We're going to leave that as a fraction today, and we don't need to plug it back in. On your examples on your quizzes for today, you will not get any fractions. I should have put 7x instead. Okay, anyway, we are going to be looking at this last equation, okay, the last transversal. And when we look at it, we can see that they're on the same side of the transversal. So when they're on the same side, we know that it's same side, and they're on the interior, so they're interior angles. And remember, when they are same side interior angles, it equals 180 degrees. All right, so we're going to set these, we're going to add them together and set it equal to 180 degrees. So we have 12x plus 23x plus 5 equals 180. All right, so we know that these are different than the last ones, so we're going to draw a line down the equal sign. We're going to collect like terms. So 12x and 23x are like terms, and when we add those together, we're going to get 3 plus 2 is 5, 1 plus 2, or 2 plus 1 is 3, x plus 5 equals 180. All right, and then we subtract 5. We've got 35x equals 175. And you can either get your handy dandy calculator out, or you can do it by hand. I'll give you some time to figure that out, because remember, we get x by itself, we divide by 35, divide by 35, and x equals 175 divided by 35, which is 5. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. If not, have fun, enjoy, learn math.